All right, let's try this again. My last start of this stream didn't go very well. I want to talk about this idea of using business tools in your personal life. And the one I want to talk about right now is strategic decision making or using um, a model that we use in business. Now, just as in business needs to have clear goals and strategies to help achieve success, the same can be said about your personal life. In fact, I would say even more important. To start, we have to understand what truly matters to us. And this involves considering all aspects in your personal life, relationships. Are you growing? Are you learning? Self-care, success. How do you measure success? How do you feel like you're succeeding? And understanding how satisfied we are with each of those areas. This is similar to business. In a business, we identify the core values of the business and we measure performance against those, and we make decisions about things in business through the filter of those core values. So step one for you in your personal life is ask yourself, what makes a great life? And think about what truly matters to you and what brings you lasting happiness. Consider all those aspects. What brings you pleasure? What is meaningful to you? Is it relationships? Is it travel? Is it money? How do you define success? And then rate those things sort of most to least of how important they are to you and how satisfied that you are today with those. So just to review, step one, ask yourself what makes a great life. And here's just a short antidote to give you an idea of what this might look like. So think about a woman named Sarah. She's a young professional, and she's pondering what makes life truly fulfilling for her. She rates relationships and personal growth high. That's like on the top of her list. And she's realized that at work, she's not fully satisfied with the relationships in her current job. So she decides to explore new career opportunities that are going to align better with those core values, those needs that she has. Okay, so that's one way that you might look at it. Step two is finding your life purpose. Figuring out what you're good at, what values are important to you, what excites you, what gets you up in the day and gets you moving, and how you feel you can contribute positively to your community, the world. Your purpose statement should reflect all of those things and ultimately, like we do in business, guide your decisions. So you wouldn't make a decision for something that didn't align with what your purpose was, what your values were. So again, finding your life's purpose. Let's look at another example. Let's follow Alex. Let's say that Alex is a recent graduate and he's reflecting on his strengths and his core values. Alex discovers that he's got a passion for environmental sustainability and decides to pursue a career in renewable energy because for him, he wants to make a positive impact on the world. Okay, that's one example of how that might apply, how you could use that. Step three, this is one of my favorite parts, crafting your life's vision. Envision who you want to become and how you want others to perceive you in the future. So the exercise that many people use, and I use it and I encourage my clients to use it, is to use an obituary. Pretend like you're writing your obituary. What do you want people to say about you? Set specific goals and think about the way you want to make an impact. And this is important. Stay open to unexpected opportunities all along the way. So when you write your obituary, start with the end in mind, right? How do you want people to talk about you? How do you want people to cry and remember you? And work backwards. What do you have to do to live that way? So again, crafting your life's vision. Now, let's look at another hypothetical. Let's say Maria. She's a working mom, and she envisions her future self as a successful entrepreneur, running a business, running a household, something that supports her family, and her business is around supporting working parents because, of course, she's a working parent. Maria sets specific goals to start her own company within, say, the next 5 years. And she is combining her passion for entrepreneurship with her dedication to family. So she's she's combining two things that are really important to her. Okay, so do you see how that piece gets you thinking, what do I want to be seen as, and work backwards? Step 4 is accessing your life, I'll call it portfolio. That's more of a business word. But evaluate the various areas of your life, such as relationships, personal growth, career, hobbies, how you treat yourself, and determine where you're investing your time and energy. And then identify areas that need more attention. So if you go back, we listed from top to bottom those things that are priorities for you. Now you're taking a look and saying, hey, how am I actually spending my time? And more than likely, you're going to notice a gap, and you're going to notice that your efforts and intention is somewhere else, not aligned with what you want. So let's continue with this. Let's say John is a busy executive, and he is taking a look, he's taking stock of how he spends his time across different areas of his life. And he realizes that he's neglecting his personal care and his relationships due to his work demands. So maybe he's just working 100 hours a week. John notices that, and he knows that self-care is a priority for him. So he decides to make that really a priority in his day and the decisions he makes. And he incorporates activities like meditation, and maybe it's regular date nights with his partner to improve those relationships. So John has taken stock of what he has found to be the way he spends his life or his time, and aligns it with what he wants. Step 5, learn. Everything in life is this continual learning. Businesses look at metrics and they learn. Find people that have characteristics that align with you. So look at role models and understand what contributes to the overall well-being, and learn from experience that others have. Now, that's not saying live your life as Mrs. Jones or Mr. Smith down the street. It's quite different than that. It's It's seeing how someone else has aligned themselves. You see them act in the way that their values are, and see what you can learn from that. More times than not, the things you learn from watching someone else and kind of parroting that is going to help you get to where you want to go faster. So let's continue with this idea of an example. So let's say it's Emma, and Emma's a student, and she's inspired by other students, peers that are driven, and people that seem to be aligned with well-being. So Emma begins practicing mindfulness, and she starts volunteering in her community, and that pathway to fulfilling that need, she sees in other people that she looks up to. So she has decided to take time dedicating to learning new skills based on strategies that she might see and observe from someone she respects. Step 6, now it comes to making in business portfolio choices. But about you in your life, it's about making intentional choices about how you spend your time and energy based on your goals and your priorities. So far, you've identified things that you want to relate as, things that are your values. You've looked at yourself and said, here's how I'm spending my time. Identify the areas for improvement, those gaps that we mentioned a second ago. And then set achievable goals to commit to making positive change that aligns with your vision. This is super, super important. This exercise does nothing for you if you don't measure and then act. So there's Mark. He's a mid-career professional. Identifies some areas in his life that need improvement after assessing his strategic life units. That's I guess a fun way to say his values. And he commits to spending more quality time with his children. So maybe he's very similar to the other example we gave, that father that was working all the time. So in doing so, he's also ranked future development or continued growth as an individual. So education is important to him. So he's recommitted himself to advancing his career in education and living this balanced life. And maybe he's passionate about volunteering. None of these things come into focus until you have that look inside and know what you're comparing it to. Sometimes we don't know, we just feel something doesn't feel right or it feels off. Well, if you've written it down, you'll have some sense of what it is and where to look to see how it gets better. And then step 7 is take action. Is put this into play. Break down your goals into manageable steps. Include deadlines. You've heard of SMART goals. They have to be specific, measurable. They have to be attainable. They have to be realistic and time-bound. Companies use different metrics, KPIs, for successful strategy implementation. You too will have and should have metrics, things you measure yourself by, that's going to ensure you're implementing these things in your life. So you get those values aligned with the way you're living. You might look at the number of minutes or hours that you spend journaling, or if date night. If building your relationships is important to you, you might look at how many times you spend quality time with people that you care about, spouse, children, friends, and see how that evolves and see how your life starts to take shape as you start to be intentional about what it is you want to ultimately become and how you're trending there. I mean, I realize as I say this can sound overwhelming or super complicated, but it really isn't. If you take a step back and just think about it, as simple as possible. Here are things that I find important. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever they are. Here is how I want to live my life. This is how I want people to remember me, the impact I have on them once I pass. What do I have to do today to start living that way? And in each one of those areas, you're going to have 2 or 3 or maybe 5 things you can do to move you in more alignment to that. So again, the relationship example could be tracking the amount of time you spend with other people, or the inverse, tracking the amount of time you spend alone. Right? One would believe that if you're spending more time alone, you're not spending more quality time with people. The same thing could be with other aspects of self-care, your exercise routine, your diet, all those things kind of combine. Are you learning something new? How many books are you reading, or how many podcasts are you listening to, or how much time are you spending doing those things? In business, we keep things as much as we can without emotion. We know we want the business to look like this. And we believe that these are the things that we need to do that's going to get us to look like that. Now, let's measure how we do each one of those little things. I've got ink on my finger. I just noticed that. I write with a fountain pen, and yeah, sometimes bad things happen. But in business, we have metrics, we track them, and that tells the story. It's not the gut that says, oh, it feels like, the business is going better. We have to take that personal gut feeling out of many aspects in business. The same in your life. I'm not telling you to ignore those feelings. Not at all. What I'm suggesting is if you're trying to make change, have a plan. Know where it is you want to go, what you want to look like at the end. What are the way signs? What are the signals that you're going in the right direction? And action. Take action. So I hope this is helpful. I know it probably sounds like a lot and a lot of rambling, but there are so many things that we do in business that can apply and be really, really helpful to people in their personal life. And oh, by the way, vice versa too. There are things that the way we live our individual lives that can be helpful if implemented into a business. We can learn either way. That's it. I hope that was helpful. And if you have any questions, or you're not sure how this might apply to you, reach out. I love talking about this stuff, and I'd be honored to help you walk through this. So